If you're anything like me, you probably work from a lot of different places in your house or your studio, like the couch, or maybe you're outside at a park, but you are very rarely sitting at your desk unless you absolutely have to be, which is why I love today's sponsor so much. Today's sponsor is AstroPad. We're so thankful that they're sponsoring today's episode, and we are obsessed with the dartboard. The dartboard is this new sort of like portable desk for your iPad, and it basically means I can now work from anywhere without needing to immediately go have a chiropractor fix my back from hunching over, basically like a troll. It's a 10 out of 10 for us. The dartboard is definitely changing the way we work and how comfortable we are while we're doing it, so be sure to check one out today. Thank you so much to AstroPad for sponsoring today's episode. Okay, hi. Woo woo, we're
Hello.
Hey,
Okay,
we've already been talking chihuahuas.
Chihuahuas. So
Yes.
it's early morning for us. Actually, say who you are. The people want to know, who are you?
Yes, thank you. I'm Gian. I'm a graphic designer and illustrator all the way from Manila, Philippines, which means it's 10 p.m. right now. Not too late. I did just have my coffee and dinner like an hour ago. So
Coffee?
yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna No, it's like normal coffee.
What?
I'm gonna be doing some
What?
work. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing some
okay.
work after this, so
Oh,
need the
wow.
extra push. So yeah.
Are you a
we'll
night
got a lot
owl?
of- yeah.
Are you a night owl?
Yeah, I could say I am. I work better at night when it's a little more quiet.
Interesting.
Not me.
Yeah.
I don't do that well. Okay, wait. But you said when we got on the call, because it's like early morning for us, late at night for you, and you said you tucked your dogs in, which
Yes.
is adorable, and you have 2 chihuahuas.
Yes, 2 chihuahuas, very different personalities. One
Okay.
is feisty, one is very chill. I mean, it's a good balance.
Okay.
When you say you tucked them in, can you expand upon that for us? Give us a
that
full
just they-
picture.
Yeah, just basically put them on our bed so they won't be able to sleep if I put them straight to their dog bed. So they gotta go to our bed first, get under our sheets, our duvet, warm themselves up there, and then when they get to finally sleep, yeah, just slowly
You
put them
transfer
back
them?
in our yeah.
Oh my
Transfer
This is
them
god.
to
my
dog bed.
favorite thing ever. This is the content that I am here for.
Yes.
Every episode
Yeah.
just start like this. I didn't know that there was such a thing as a chill chihuahua.
Yes, there is. I mean,
Okay.
everyone is always shocked when they meet one of my chihuahuas. Yeah, there was one time, actually just 2 weeks ago, I had a live talk, creative talk, and I brought him with me while I was speaking, just there.
Oh my gosh.
Sitting.
My jaw is on the floor.
Yeah.
What a dream.
And
Wow.
the other one, I had to let my partner take him. They were all the way at the back just in case he gets kind of angry. They could just leave a bit. But yeah, the chill
Yeah,
one
good
is
call.
just with me by my side.
Okay, so we've always had big dogs, like 80, 90 pounds, big boys.
Yeah.
And we one time went to someone's house to let out their chihuahua. It was like before we had kids, we were just helping out a friend of a friend. It was like their wedding day. I don't know, that's irrelevant. And it was a chihuahua, and my husband was like, okay, go outside. And the little thing bit Greg so hard, like on his thumb, and he like freaked out. And my husband, like, the dog was like 2 pounds. My husband like freaked out. We couldn't get it back inside. It was awful. I was scarred for life. And it's literally the tiniest dog ever. And it was traumatizing. It was so scary.
My favorite thing is when
that's
the chihuahuas wear the spikes on their back or something to deter the birds, the hawks and stuff from trying to get it.
Don't
I
all
see them.
short-haired dogs do that? Or like
All
I feel like the
short-haired?
smaller ones.
Yeah, small. It's all about
Are
the
you
size.
talking about real spikes?
I mean, there's various
Or like
different
is it their fur?
deterrents.
Oh, like
No,
the
like
vests,
real, like a vest that you can put on to keep birds from landing and trying to take them away and eat.
I have
eat
never
them.
seen such a thing.
Yeah, it's my
Wow.
favorite. It's
I'm
so
gonna
It's all
cute.
over
my phone.
TikTok.
But also, like,
Yeah.
it is. It is. It's a real issue. Okay, we
No,
got to
I
protect
have
our little
heard.
dogs.
I have heard of that. I mean, my dog couldn't catch a squirrel, and he's huge, so I'm not worried about him. But I thought you meant like some dogs that are short-haired, their like fur in the middle kind of turns into a mohawk when they're like, I don't know, in protective mode. but ours is long hair, so he doesn't do that. Anyway, I could talk dogs literally all day.
For ages.
I mean, it's all I want to talk about. It's all I want to see on my feeds. It's just the best. But let's talk a little bit of shop. We're really excited to chat with you because something you've done so well is sharing your voice, sharing your creative style, and having this really consistent look and feel that people can identify you with. And I know that's not easy for a lot of artists. And it's something that's what Katie and I are writing a book about it. And we just wanted you to share some of your experience with that. And so I guess my first kind of question is, did you always, from a young age, feel like you understood yourself and the way you wanted to express yourself?
I guess in part, yes. I always felt I was different growing up. I didn't like what the usual boys like. I'm a tall guy for someone in the Philippines. And I always get asked if I play basketball when I was young. And I don't. I just don't. I hate the thought of like running and throwing balls around. So
yes, same.
I just didn't like it. I like different stuff. When I say different, I feel like it always felt like a hard time finding people with the similar, I guess, preferences or things that they like. And it was really hard connecting actually growing up. But I think even though with like the pressure of adapting to what is the norm, I always felt like I just stuck to what made me happy. I'm so lucky to have friends and my family who don't really pressure me to be someone else. Like they let me be who I am or like what I wanted to do, what I like. In a way, it's challenging, but at the same time, I feel like it's way harder for other people that I know.
What were some of the things that you found yourself drawn to at an early age that you were like, yes, I am feeling this direction?
So I really loved art back then and just really just designing. So in the Philippines, like our classrooms, I feel like in any other part of the world as well, there's always those decorations and I'd always volunteer to do them.
Yes.
No one else would do that. So I'm going to have to do that. Cut designs in paper, put them all together. I really love doing that. I was a fan of Disney. I mean, a lot are, but I feel like not a lot of boys would admit that they are fans of Disney shows or artists and celebrities like that.
Wait, what was your favorite Disney show growing up?
Oh, it's Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
I'm a little...
Love it.
I must be a little bit older than you because I am a Lizzie McGuire. Like,
yeah, same.
Katie can attest. Like Lizzie still is.
Well, yeah, she's
her.
still obsessed with Hilary Duff.
That sort of love and like connection to a pretend character, it never goes away.
Yeah. No, remember like Cadet Kelly vibes?
Yes, of course I do.
Love that.
I saw someone do a social media thing that was like, y'all are coming out of the woodwork saying Hilary Duff is awesome. But we've been with her from the beginning, from Casper Meets Wendy, Cadet Kelly, Lizzie McGuire, A Cinderella Story. And I was like, been there.
I saw that too because of her viral photo of her like butt looking so good at the gym. And everybody's like getting on the Hillary train. They're like, what is her...
always looked good.
I know. We're like, excuse me. She's always had a killer butt.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Anyway, okay, Hannah Montana. So a lot of people weren't maybe talking about their love for things like this.
Huge crush as well. I don't know. I love the show. Really funny. Love her voice as well. And there was this funny moment, even like we were having this party at school. Someone was playing a CD of this. I don't know. It's just some party song that's popular at that time. And I wasn't just vibing at that time, but I did bring my Hannah Montana CD and I snuck it in, played it, and everyone didn't notice and they were just also vibing. So like, I'm just really converting them at that time. So
that's amazing. I was a big S Club 7 fan.
Oh, yes.
There ain't no party like an S Club party. And I actually we had like a 5th grade mini talent show thing in our theater arts class. And I did a freestyle dance to one of S Club 7's songs. And that day you know how sometimes the laundry gets stuck in other laundry? Well, I had a sneaky pair of underwear stuck in my pant leg and I didn't know. And when I did a kick, my underwear came
Oh my gosh. I am traumatized for you.
But I killed it. I did a great job. So
wait,
yeah.
I have a follow-up to that. We will finish hearing your story, but this feels
it's important to go on these little side tangents.
The first year my son was in like full day pre-K or daycare or whatever, they had to send blankets in for nap time. And I sent one in and my underwear was stuck to it. I had somehow washed my underwear with his blanket. And I said to the teacher, I am so sorry. And she was like, what are you talking about? We didn't see anything. And I was like,
oh no, you outed yourself.
You definitely didn't see anything. I was mortified. And then that same week, we missed a birthday party and I sent the gift in and I bought a game and I bought the same game for ourselves. And I accidentally sent her the opened game that we had played.
How dare you?
The mom was like, I didn't
The shame.
notice. Yeah, anyway, she did not care. But I was like, switch it with me. Like
Ilana's just sending people all sorts of weird stuff.
Seriously. Anyway, okay. So, it's good to hear that you can like identify those things, but it's so sad to think that people aren't comfortable sharing what they really like. And I feel like when you see someone who is confident in themselves and who you're really interested in and you think they have a really great voice, it's usually because they have decided they're going to share what makes them unique. Exactly. Like merging loving dogs and also playing with miniatures, like whatever the two things that are unique. And I always wonder how children become interested in such a niche, whatever it is, playing Quidditch, like a 5-year-old who's like, I play Quidditch. And you're like, how did your parents teach
how?
You? I don't know.
Doesn't that require flying?
Yeah. But you know what I mean? There apparently is Quidditch at several colleges now. Like
I have questions.
Yeah, I do too, but I don't have the answers yet. But I always wonder like how they found that little thing. And like, I hope that it sounds like your parents did a nice job of encouraging you, or your community did a nice job of encouraging you and embracing you for who you are. But I hope to do that for my kids too, is like, if they find something they like, just be like, great, let's learn about it together.
I love seeing that with all my friends who have children and they're starting to get to that point where they can have their own little interests. And it's so cute to see my friends nurturing that. And it's just so sweet. Like, okay, we're into farm animals. Let's go ham and learn everything we can about farm animals and dinosaurs. It's just so cute. But I'm curious how you kind of got into your confidence of being able to outwardly embrace these things and feeling like, okay, I'm going to do this despite the fact that it might not be the norm, quote unquote. How did you get to that point?
I guess it came from a lot of exhaustion, frustration, like just trying to fit what is the norm or what a regular boy is growing up back then. And I just realized that if I kept all these things inside me, or I didn't outwardly express what I liked or what I preferred to do, I wouldn't be able to find my tribe or find similar people who also like the same things. And I feel like finding those people will actually be rewarding to myself as well, just because I get to enjoy the things that I like better than keeping them to myself. And just basically, it gets tiring to pretend sometimes to be cool. Like, I remember growing up, there was this video game that all the boys in my school were playing. I don't know if you've heard of, like, it's called Dota. It's just, I don't know, just a video game that everyone's playing. We went to the mall and they just went to like these computer shops, played it. And I had to pretend that I played it. But at that time, I wasn't feeling playing. And it was a moment that I felt super exhausted to pretend. So since then, I just started looking for people who I would probably resonate with as well, who are also expressing themselves. And when I did found those people, I think until now, I'm still friends with them, like those people who I'm actually free to express myself.
That's so powerful. And how cool is it that now that you're fully embracing all the things that you authentically are, that you are getting hired because of it, and you're getting sought out because of it, and you're memorable to people because of it? That's just amazing to see that. I love that.
Yeah, I think that's the bonus of it all.
Yeah,
it is. And it's so relatable because, I mean, so many people are trapped in that and they're adults. I think so many of us are. I think part of it is that we're inundated with other people's wonderful voices. And so we're seeing, oh, well, this person likes that. And you're like, well, I like that too. And the thing that makes everyone unique is I like this thing, but I also like all these other things. And then the way Katie explained it to me the other day is like you put it in like a you smoothie of mixing all the things that you love.
Yeah.
And it can be challenging to figure out and confidently be like, this is what makes me up. And it's really, really impressive that you were able to identify that at a younger age. And it's also so sad because I think about like young kids not being able to express, hey, I actually don't really like this. And I'm thinking about, I have a 6-year-old and I'm thinking about him being like, this kid says he doesn't like Mario. He would never. He would just be like, oh, no, they don't like to play. So we play this together. And so it's almost like it's a learned behavior is not letting kids just be who they are and express themselves. And so I think it's like all of our jobs to encourage the younger generation, but also our peers to just be like, hey, you should share that, or you should pursue that, or you should keep going with that. And I bet sometimes we just get caught up at being a beginner at something and being like, well, I like it, but I'm not very good at it. That's okay.
Well, I do feel hopeful for sure, especially seeing like all the TikToks and everything lately with just how much more kids are feeling comfortable or brave enough. I don't know if comfortable is the right word, brave enough to talk about who they really authentically are. And there's a lot more conversations being had around gender and what's breaking what's quote unquote normal around that. And that I think is hugely important. And I am really encouraged to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's it.
Yeah, agree.
How have you found that these things that you like and gravitate towards, how have you found them manifesting visually in your work?
I guess it's more of definitely not visually. These are things that I like coming from different visual aesthetics as well. But when I do like review those things that I was drawn to before, specifically like how I did the workshop when we did it in the Good Guild, it's basically capturing the same energy. For example, Hannah Montana, it's just really light, very poppy, and at times just crazy moments. And I see that manifesting as well in what I do. There's always that energy, there's the dynamic factor, for example. And yeah, a lot of it is just that. I just love when things are a little extra, really calling out to you, things like that. And yeah, that's how I would probably describe it, manifesting.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful as an example because maybe people are thinking, how do I literally work in Hannah Montana if that's something that I love? And yeah, it might not be a literal representation. We might run into some copyright issues there, but it's a vibe, it's an energy, it's transferring over of the poppy colors and feelings. So I think that's really helpful to hear the way that that translates for you into your work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's basically when you see all of those things that you were drawn to before, there's always that through line, that common theme, tying it all together. It's the vibe, probably the message, or what makes that piece of thing unique as well, probably. And when you combine those together, that makes you, as you mentioned, like your hue smoothie.
Yeah. How often do you revisit? These are the things that, because when you were in the Good Guild, you did this exercise with us where we looked at inspiration, we made a mood board. How often do you revisit your own and how often do you feel like it changes? Because I know I really like change in some ways. And I think it's important to go back and reflect, like, is this still resonating with me? Especially as a creative, because sometimes we get bored with doing the same thing and we want to expand, but we still want to be true to ourselves. And so it's not like we're just going to do a 180 and say, actually, I don't like neon colors anymore. I only like pastels. But maybe you want to incorporate one pastel color, or maybe you want to try something in a more muted tone, but it's still with the same colors you were using. So do you have like any ways that you go back and revisit the things that, because I think the biggest thing is identifying them. So if an artist is saying, I'm struggling with finding my style, they probably haven't sat down and like written down the things and found the through lines. But when you sit down and do the actual work, you can then go back to it and reflect. So yeah, do you ever go back and just say like, I don't know if I like this anymore, or I want to add this to it?
Yeah. So I usually look back. I try to, like, in every project that I actually get, because I think it's easier to check within yourself for inspiration. It's like the quickest, I mean, it's the lowest hanging fruit versus going straight to Pinterest or Behance looking for inspiration. I'll always just start with the things that I like growing up because then it's easier to remember the things that I like there and how do I incorporate them, which then makes it work that resonates with me already. And if nothing comes up, I check what I like now. And usually when I do that, that's when I discover new things that I like now, and probably why I wasn't able to pinpoint anything from what I liked before or what I've listed down is that probably something new that I've discovered is worth taking inspiration for. And that whatever that thing is worth adding to the list or identifying why I switched over to this and like probably not really abandon but shelved something that I liked before in favor of this new thing. So yeah, it's always just a first step that I take when I do have projects because it's just the easier, I guess, easier first touch point versus anything else. Yeah.
I'm curious, how did you start getting clients, your freelance clients? What kind of steps did you take to attract clients, or were you doing outreach, or what kind of portfolio did you have? I want to kind of go from now, how you understand your style. Now, how do you start expressing it to people in a way that is supporting your business?
Can we, before we do that, I think
sure.
it's important to say you're also working a full-time job.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
Did that, I don't know if that came first and then you could start freelancing on the side, or if you freelanced first, took a job and are still freelancing. I don't know which one.
Yeah, tell us the story.
Yeah, so I would say I freelanced first. I mean, I was still at uni when I started getting projects. I remember, I think one of the major ones that really made me believe that I can actually do this for a living when I was contacted by Southern Living magazine. I think it's magazine
cool.
there, the US. I was just imagine I
we
was
know
a
it
baby.
well, yeah.
Yeah, I was this baby student doing lettering for the first time. I was contacted to do editorial headline artwork. I was contacted twice. I had two projects there, and it's also one of my first big paychecks. And at the time, I also didn't know how I would get the payment. I didn't know how PayPal works. I don't know how wire transfer works back then. They don't teach those at school for some reason.
They do not.
The client had to send over the check all the way from there to here.
Oh my gosh.
Which took a lot of time. I had to open up a US dollar account. And at the time, since I was just a student, my qualifications weren't enough to open a bank account. So I had to open a joint one with my mom.
Oh my gosh. So adorable.
And like, she also knows that I got those paychecks. So there's a little reward for her as well for helping me out.
You're so
settle those.
sweet.
Yeah. So that was one of my first ones. But I guess how I got that was when I started doing lettering work, I just really started posting on Instagram. Back then, it didn't matter to me how perfect my work was. What I wanted to do back then was to keep creating a lot of work and then share it and share how it progresses and grows. And at the same time, it beefs up your portfolio and you get to show that you're consistent. You can do this, you're an expert here when you constantly post things like that. And that probably what attracted the client to hire me. A lot of my batchmates then weren't doing that. I don't know why, but I was in a huge pressure back then. I was about to graduate. I haven't found like my niche or my style. So I just kept doing every time that I got. I would just sit down, create something. If I just watch the movie, I will pick like a quote or a statement from that movie, do an artwork of it, and then share it. And probably that attracted that client that I had. And from then, since I was, hyped up, did all the projects that I could get, that probably means, I can do more of this. So I started just continuing that to share my work. And even then, when I got my first job at a studio, I didn't stop. Like after work, I would sit down again, work on my personal work, keep posting just because I wanted to work something that I really like doing. Even though I get to work with, back then, it was a design studio. So it's multiple brands, multiple styles, multiple personalities. So it's really easy to lose yourself. So that's why when I get back home, I anchor myself back to what I love doing. So at least it balances out what I do. And I carried that over even until now. as I work in a tech company, I still get to do things on the side just so there's that, I guess, refuge from what I do on a day to day. Not to say that it's completely separate. I think there's like intersections which I get to apply as well. And that's what's good about when your style is not visual, but more of like well rounded. You get to apply it wherever you go. Yeah.
I want to highlight something that you did that a lot of younger or just starting out artists have a hard time with. And the fact that you said you weren't worried about your art being perfect and you just posted and posted and posted, and you were okay with posting the progress and you were okay with not being at the ultimate endpoint because, well, hint, hint, we never are. But I think that is huge. And that's really hard for a lot of people who are just starting out or who are frustrated with their skill level not matching up with their taste level. And they're like, oh, I can't put this work into the world until it's perfect. And then they wait and they don't get the jobs. They don't get the Southern Living magazine reaching out, So putting yourself out there and taking those steps to be vulnerable and sharing your work, even when you know that there's still progress that you can make, that is so huge. And that can completely jumpstart your career. Put it out there. If you have a question mark, put it out there. What's the worst that can happen,
Yeah. And you can archive them pretty soon in the future for sure.
But I love that. Yeah. I love when people don't archive them too, because it's like,
just go deep in there.
Seeing the progress is really humanizing. And yeah, I mean, even as a potential client, I love to see, or like somebody hiring them, I love to see the evolution and that the person is driven enough to continue to push their own work forward. So yeah, I mean, put yourself out there, people.
Yeah.
I love all of that. I'm curious, when you make something and maybe it's something new or like you're trying out a new style and you are going to post it, is there ever a time you look at it and you're like, it's not quite me yet, I'm going to keep going? Or do you feel like at this point, you know your creative style enough that during the process, you're like, okay, it's getting there, I'm going to add more of this, I think this will make it feel more me? Is that just like part of your process now? Or has there been a time where you're like, this doesn't quite feel like me yet, I'm going to keep working?
I guess it's a mix of both, but I guess the funny thing is when I spend more than an hour, it's gonna go out there. I'm gonna need to post it because I at least want to be rewarded of what I spend time on, even if it's not perfect, even if I need more time. Usually it won't get like the expected coverage of, or like people liking it, things like that. But sometimes they do, surprisingly. So yeah, you'll never know. Sometimes people are just looking for that type of work that you just shared, or probably are just drawn to that at that time. And yeah, there's really isn't no right time. So if I spend hours on it, it's gonna go out. I don't want to fiddle around and sit on it for a longer time because usually I tend to forget that it's there, or probably I just move on.
Yeah, I feel like I need to like finish something. I need to close the chapter. And even if I'm not that happy with it, I can go back and redo it if my style changes later. But I feel like if I start a book, I have to finish it. And so if I'm going to start a project, I need to get it to a place where it's done, even if it's like, it's done, but I could have probably done more. I feel like we could probably always keep going on a piece. And that's because in a week, we've learned something new.
Yeah, and usually even projects that I work with, like after working on it, I would think, oh, actually, probably I could have done something better on it, or probably even another artist could have done a better job than this. But then I get back to why I was hired for it. And usually it's not how perfect your work is, it's just like you getting to share your vision or like your talents, and also being a good person to your client. I mean, sometimes that's what they're paying for, even like if you have a good relationship with them, even though it's not the best work, it's always still rewarding. And I feel like not a lot of people have that in them.
So my question was, when we're looking at your Instagram, are those personal projects or are they primarily freelance projects? Because Katie had asked before, like, how are people finding you? And you work full time, but then you do freelance. What are we seeing on Instagram? Is it mostly passion projects or is it mostly client work? And also, actually, this one I'm going to ask first. Are you able to bring that style to your full-time job? Or is your full-time job more of restricted in brand guidelines?
Got it. All right. So I guess to answer your question, the first one, it's a mix. It really depends on, for example, for this month, I've no freelance work. Then I'd probably take some time to do some quick designer exercise, personal initiative, so I
Good for
could
you.
post something new. So I try to balance that. And usually, if I get a lot of client work, I wouldn't do personal work just because I like to really just set my boundaries and also limit what I can handle. I don't want to be having like my day job and then doing client work and then personal work. I can only do so much. So yeah, whatever comes, if sometimes it's straight months, just personal work, sometimes it's freelance work. Yeah, it's a good mix. And I try really to balance that so that it's, I guess, a good showcase as well of what I can work with. And in terms of my style being applicable to the place I work in, I guess in a way I could when it requires that, or it's usually the special projects that really requires my specific style or fits my style. But if it doesn't, I stick to the intangible, I guess, features, even if it's, I would say, not visually my style. I would sprinkle in bits of my, I guess, voice, whether that's how I interact with my workmates, how I do a presentation, even like just how you tell the stories in the presentation or how you build the deck and include stuff that
That's
wouldn't normally
such a
be.
good point.
Yeah.
That's such a
Yeah.
good
So,
point. And I feel
yeah.
like the power of having a job where you can just have a job and be fulfilled in that sense, but then you can leave, it doesn't like burn you out so much that you can not handle doing those passion projects. Because I know a lot of us are full-time designers and then we go home and we're designers again. And if there's no differentiation, it's just like a one-way ticket to burnout. But I love the idea of bringing different aspects of your style to your job and then leaving room with your freelance work to do like the work that you're just really excited about. That's a little bit different. That's really great.
Yeah, we've got you smoothies and then we've got you sprinkles.
Ooh,
Yeah.
toppings.
Yeah. I mean, it's just there, but you won't really feel it. You'll just feel the crunch every now and then. But yeah.
I love
The
a crunch.
Yeah.
I don't eat ice cream without stuff in it.
Yeah.
It's just like
sprinkles
Same.
do bring a lot to the party, that's for sure.
Yeah, and salads too. Like I'm not eating a salad if there's nothing crunchy. No sprinkles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought
No
you were talking about sprinkles
like,
in your salad.
Like a nut or a craisin or like that's
Some
Yeah.
texture.
I'm here for that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Something
texture.
that you do on your website too, I want to point out for people is you have a work section and then you have a playhouse section. Can you speak a little bit to that and how you differentiate that and kind of what the strategy was between separating those things?
Yeah, so I think it explains itself easily. Like Playhouse, it's where I get to play and do more personal stuff, experiments, because I think people actually expect that in every client work that I do, I get to bring out something new and do all these fun experiments where it's 100% me. But the truth is, it's not always 100% me. When I work with clients, it's always like a combination of that, my lens and their lens. Where does that meet? And that's the work that gets put out. So basically, all those work, I guess, wouldn't be 100% me because, yeah, it's a combination of that. And in the playhouse, that's where I get to do whatever I like without any restrictions. And also, it's where I get to play with materials. So having my work printed in different stuff such as tote bags or like print cards or postcards and I guess other merchandise like scarves, things like that. It's more of a way to bring my work into the physical realm versus just showing them digitally. Sometimes it lacks that life, but when they do become actual items, it's much more, I guess, you get to appreciate it better. So that's basically my playhouse. Just do bunch of crazy stuff. Sometimes I get to sell them. Sometimes they're just for me to enjoy.
I think that's a really great solution for people when we're talking about finding your style. One of the biggest questions or objections that people tend to have is, oh, I want to be able to experiment. I don't want to confine myself to one solution and do it over and over. That sounds really boring. And there's a lot of things I can say about that, but I think Playhouse, or the idea of kind of housing those experiments in a place that you label it and tell people, like, this is where my experiments live. This is where I'm stretching who I am as an artist. And there will still be lots of through lines, even when you're experimenting. But it makes me think about that project that Eric Marinovich did, and like the Friends of Type.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Classic.
And yeah. And it was just different experiments with lettering and type. And they were all sorts of different styles of lettering, but they were consistent in just that they were really cool, unique experiments and stretching kind of the bounds of what letter forms could look like. And so that was the through line. But yeah, it was just a home for all of the experiments. And I know he did it with other people or person too. I'm trying to remember who it was, but
That's important as well, that you're not just only showing your work, but also the fun stuff that you do, because I believe that's how you would attract the clients, when it's the sweet spot of the things you're good at doing and the things that you want to do more of. So the things that you're good at doing, that's probably your work portfolio, and the things that you want to do more of is your Playhouse portfolio. And like sometimes, a client will hit that sweet spot right there. So it's good to have that both in your website or your portfolio.
I have to say, you are so well spoken, and the way that you're explaining all of this,
thank you,
makes it sound so easy, and like you've got such a great handle on it. And you're also a young designer. I mean, you just seem to have a really good handle on this, and it's really inspiring to see someone who is confident in themselves, who has fun with their work, who understands the difference, and also can manage freelance, because we know that's not for everyone, while also having the comfort and appreciation for their full-time job. You've been really positive about that experience, and whether or not you ever go full-time freelance is irrelevant. It's just the fact that you're like, I have fun doing these projects. It's just cool to be able to do them, but I also really enjoy my full-time job. I think you're just really, really well spoken, and I'm not sure if you've been told that enough. The way you talk about this is really put a little bow on it. It's great. I really appreciate
thank you. Yeah, I've been very lucky indeed, but also it comes with all the challenges that I went through. But yeah, I love learning from a lot of people as well. Like doing this, I would probably take something from this one that I could take, little nugget that I could take elsewhere in future podcasts or whatnot. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. We actually have a couple. I think we're good to do some rapid fire real quick.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Okay, do you have a typeface that you always reach for? Like, if you have to pick one, what's the one we're going to see?
That's hard. All right, I could go with the latest one that I always use. It's called Glicker. It's this funky font. So just a few edits, it's going to look like it's something that handmade.
Awesome. We love that. Okay. This one's really silly. How do you like your pizza?
Oh, yeah. Pineapples. I always love that sweet and savory balance.
Yes, it always comes up.
Every time we ask this question, someone is like, I know it's weird, but I like pineapple. It's not that weird.
Yeah, I don't know why people have such huge dislike. I mean, it's the perfect balance.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I have truly never met a pizza I didn't like. So I'm here for all of it. Yeah, okay, let me find one more. What are two non-design things that you are really loving right now? I think you posted about one of them to your feed recently. That was really cool. But like anything, like your favorite water bottle, something you're wearing.
You always bring up the water bottle.
You know what? It's an easy way to explain the question. And I love water bottles.
Yeah, I mean, that checks out. So I think this has been going on for like 2 years already since we've moved in this place. I've been obsessed with lamps. Designer lamps.
I love lamp.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I feel like I have 7 of them, and it's just a small space where we stay. So when I do light them up, all of them, it looks like a weird cult, because
what do you look for in a good lamp? What draws you to a lamp?
Just good design. I mean, sometimes it's the funky shape that I don't like. Those lamps that are just plain lampshades that are round, that wraps around like that.
Boring.
So yeah, if you know Hey, this brand called Hey, they have good lamps. I mean, and some also vintage that are colorful. So yeah, that's what I look for in a lamp. like
That's
really
awesome.
funky looking.
That's a good answer.
All right. Do you have
Okay,
one
so he
more
loves
thing you're
lamp.
loving? Loves lamps. Love it.
One more.
And then one other thing.
I love Christmas ornaments as well. Like I
Are
don't
you
know.
like are you like a everything has to match Christmas person, or are you like whatever nostalgic, throw this, we'll make it all work together?
Yeah, nostalgic. I mean, I love that.
Okay.
Having different colors and textures. But I do have to set that colors in all of the decoration. So yeah, whenever I
is
go
it
to
hot
them,
there for Christmas?
yes,
Is
it
it
is.
hot? Yeah.
It is hot, but it's I guess the colder season within the whole year,
Okay.
so
Like
it's fine. But yeah, definitely. So
Just a little
whenever
a balmy Christmas.
Yeah, not for us. It's freezing here.
Yeah.
It's like snow. We had snow the other day.
Aw.
Now it's like sunny, but yeah, you can see the sun coming in, but really cold.
Aw.
Freeze your hand off. But it's fine.
But I like a cold Christmas because it feels very festive.
Well, move
you
here.
Know?
You can have it every year.
I'll be there.
I want to experience that.
Great.
Like my dream is to have Christmas in New York because my favorite movie is Home Alone.
Of course, whose favorite movie is it?
You can just reenact it.
Yeah. There was one time where he was in New York, right? So like I just fell in love with like, the Christmas there. So goals in the future.
Okay, do it. I mean, I'm pretty far from the city, but come visit me if you come to New York. That's great. I love all these things. Also, last night I was at a very, very, very expensive home. Didn't want to touch anything, very cautious. And they had a smiley face lamp. And I was like, that was the perfect
I think I know that
addition because you know the lamp. Maybe it's really expensive.
He's like, believe me, I know. He knows lamps.
It was cute. It was real cute.
Yeah, I see it I think it's sold in MoMA.
Well, that would explain it. I'm going to look it up right now. MoMA smiley face lamp. Let's just double check. You know what? That wasn't it. That was not it. It was like more of a... I'm going to find it and send it to you. Anyway, it was like humbling.
That's hilarious, though, that you knew. You were like, oh, I know the lamp.
Well, because I said like high quality,
smiley.
You know.
Yeah.
Smiley face lamp. It was cute, though. And there was also a smiley face pillow, but it was just funny because it didn't... I loved the house. It was beautiful, but it like didn't match the, 200-foot ceilings. It just like felt like
just silently judging
a little high-low, a little high-low. Anyway, this is great. Can you do a quick plug of where people can find you and connect with you?
Sure. So I'm on Insta. It's at Giancarlo Wong. You'll know it when it's like the feed is just pure rainbow vomit. Website for my work, it's gianwong.com. So yeah, that's basically it.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And when you're in New York, we'll have Christmas together.
As well.
Yeah, and now we know who to ask all our lamp questions to.
Yeah, next time we're in the market for a lamp, we're calling you.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you at the next episode.
All right. Thank you, Katie and Ilana.
Bye.